but behind closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Back with another video today, and I want to talk about my wish list for Overwatch Competitive Season 4. A lot of people have done videos on this, but I want to put my 2 cents into the pot. Without further ado, let's get into the video. And first thing I want to improve is the ranking system. And the first thing about the ranking system that I need to improve is finally implement a way for me to leave a game when someone else quits. You know, we all know the message of someone on your team quit and it says, if you leave after 1 minute and 54 seconds, you will receive a loss but will not lose any rank. Every time I quit, I lose 67 SR. I lose a ridiculous amount of competitive SR for no reason at all, you know. There needs to be a way for when someone else quits, whether it's a Smurf, someone whose mom came up and turned off his Xbox, whatever it might be, there needs to be a way for them to be able to leave and me not to be affected because I didn't do shit. You know, I stayed in the game and I was here trying to win a game. Just because someone else quits doesn't mean I should lose all my hard-earned SR. Next, build a better reporting system. Now, this is something new because of the rise of the Smurf and all these guys that I've played in games where it's just like, you know, this is my Smurf account, I don't really care. I decided to be a Torby main, and I'm not going to switch off this. There needs to be a reporting system for this, you know. If you want to start a new account, go ahead. My friend did because one of our other friends is extremely low rank. He's like a 2400. We also have one that's like 1400, but none of us can play with him. But the 2400, he made a new account just so he could play with everyone. And that is fine because he still tries his hardest in those games. But for those people who get onto a Smurf account just so they can play characters that they don't want to play on their other account because they know they're throwing the game, there needs to be a reporting system for this, and there needs to be some way to look into it because that just ruins the game for anyone who gets on their team. Next one, and this has been talked about with a ton of YouTubers, lessen the streak bonus. There's a lot of luck that is kind of thrown into competitive. You know, I have friends that go on streaks because they just get these constant, like, previous top 500 players on their team where they're like, I was just paired with a ton of people who were extremely skilled at the game, you know. And then there's friends like myself, and actually Mason deals with this quite often, is you just get into constant game of people that just have no idea what in God's name they're doing. They're just going around, running around like a chicken with their head cut off, and you just look at them like, I can't believe you've gotten all the way up to Diamond somehow. And there just needs, and with that being said, you know, you can't punish someone for losing, 4 in a row because the possibility of bad teammates. You know, and this could be, I think, contributed for 2 ways. You can either keep the streak bonus the same or take into consideration more of how you've played during those streaks, whether it's a loss or a win streak, or just lower the streaking bonus. So if you lose 4 in a row, instead of losing 600 SR, cut it back to, lose 50, lose 60. And then the same goes for when you're winning. So if you win 4 in a row, put it at 50 or so. Don't have it exponentially go up like it does. Maybe if they win something like 15 games in a row or something like that, then that exponential climb in SR can happen. But just winning, 5, 6 games in a row, it's a little ridiculous to go up and to go up as fast as you do. Because people just get all out of their rank. They end up in Diamond and Grandmaster when they're not even supposed to be there. And then they come back down and are back into Bronze the next day. And then I think the biggest thing is just an overall better consistency with matchmaking. An idea that I've kind of been reading about is an advanced queue system. So this would be a system where you select your top 3 heroes or your best class. So if you're a Roadhog main, you have 150 hours of Roadhog, you would put that into this advanced search. Like, I'm a Roadhog main, I prefer to play him, and this is my best character. And then what the system would do is that it would pair you with other people who fill out your team. So it would pair you with a healing main. It would pair you with a DPS main. It would pair you with another tank. And it would help you build this team so you don't enter a game and end up with 6 people who all play in main Reaper and then have a Hanzo. And you just end up with a terrible team comp, and of course then other players are forced to try and alter what they're good at, and it just ends up, you get into a game where you don't have a lot of fun, you normally end up losing. So having a system like this could be a fun thing, and I think some people may have a problem with this just for the fact that it gives people an excuse to not want to learn new characters. They don't have to grow anymore. They can just stick with that one character they've been playing, and as long as they're doing this advanced matchmaking, then it's fine, because they'll never get paired with anyone who they can't work with. But I think it could be an interesting idea, and I think it could really help players like me who always feel like they get in a game where no one wants to heal or no one wants to play tank. And in my opinion, it could make for much more fun games and in much more balanced teams. On the players and character side, there's a few things that I'd like to see as well in Season 4. I would like to see the buffs and nerfs settled down. And I mean in this sense that the buffs and nerfs, I think, should be tested longer and more thoroughly. The soldier buff, the diva buff, the Ana buff / nerf completely changed how the game was played to a point where the meta became staler than 8-day-old bread. Like, you can play anyone else. Soldier is still a character where he's almost an automatic must pick. And I think it's just for lack of testing. And with that, I think Blizzard needs to get feedback from console gamers. It seems like they don't do this. I'm on console because I truly love the Xbox. I don't have a $4,000 PC. I don't have the cash to go out and spend that money on a $4,000 PC. And with the PTR only being on the PC, I feel like if it's good on the PTR, if the Divas buff didn't affect the PTR too much, then Blizzard was like, it should be fine on console as well. But that's 100% untrue. The difference between a console game and a PC game are huge, and anyone will tell you this that has played on both. PC gamers have these insane twitch shot skills, all these heroes like Hanzo and Widow, even players like Torb are so much more playable on console because of the way that the mouse works. And I don't think Blizzard's taking into consideration with that. When they did the Diva or the Soldier buff, I think they probably looked at, you could probably counter it with Widow or Hanzo, are great counters to this situation. But on console, when those players aren't really options, it just makes these players 100% more overpowered. I think that Blizzard needs to start getting feedback on all platforms before putting out a buff or a nerf, instead of just looking at the console. I think it would make the game much more balanced for at least us as console players when these changes get rolled out. Otherwise, it just keeps happening where I feel like a lot of console players feel neglected by Blizzard in a case of we don't get much attention and we don't get as much consideration as the PC gamers do. And then the biggest topic, and the one that everyone is talking about now, more heroes. And of course, a new tank is something that I want to know, or at least is something I want in the game, and anyone who knows me, at least all my friends, they know that I avoid tanks like the plague, but that's just because I suck with every single tank that's in the game. I can't get a single kill with a Reinhardt, Roadhog, Diva, Zarya. I'm lucky to end a game in silver as far as like damage done. I'm awful, just bottom line. And the rumor has it is that the new tank coming, or the new hero coming into the game is a tank, and I am absolutely ecstatic about that because I want nothing more than to be able to go into a competitive game and say, I will play tank, because those are words, and I am serious, that have never been uttered from my mouth in all over the 300 hours I've played on competitive Overwatch. Excuse me for that voice crack. And I think this is going to be great. I hope this new tank is out of the box. I hope that with it, it kind of brings a new aspect to the whole tank meta that Overwatch has become. I hope it's not too similar. And I was really disappointed with what they did with Sombra. So I hope what they do with the tank is a lot better. I feel like the two heroes that they've put out have been very lackluster when it comes to putting in the game. I would like to see a tank that really stands out and that really brings a whole new facet to this tank hero, the whole tank class. And then finally, I really want a defensive hero, and I know this is just because the defensive hero category hasn't had any new heroes yet, but it's also, it's just a sad category. It's a sad class of heroes. Torby, after his nerfs so early in Season 1, he is completely worthless almost. Widow, I don't even need to talk about her. She's a quick play hero. Nothing more, at least on console. And then Hanzo, in the right hands, Hanzo's a great pick. 99% of the time, a Hanzo is essentially trying to lose a game. A few of my friends, if they wanted to throw a game later in the season because they didn't want to end up ranked so high, they would choose Hanzo. And I think that says a lot about the hero. I would like to see a hero that is somewhere in between a Junkrat and a Mei. And my thought process on that is that Junkrat is my favorite hero, but he has the staying power of a zipless tracer. He is almost impossible to stay alive with. He has 200 health, no armor. His ult requires him to stand completely still for 15 seconds. He's one of the worst heroes when it comes to just staying power, but he can throw damage out better than any other hero in the game. Now, Mei, she can stay in a point for 10 minutes without breaking a sweat, and the team isn't even able to touch her. She has some of the best staying power than I think most tanks, and a lot of people even do consider her an off tank. Yet, she is not the greatest when it comes to damage. If you can hit those icicle shots, she can put out some major damage, but she does have a very high learning curve when it comes to using her weapon as far as a damage dealer. And I would like to see something in between. When I think defense, I think of a sturdy hero that can provide damage, yet that can also just kind of stay, who has the ability to just sit there and be a tank, or be a defensive hero, someone who is hard to get by. I would like to see someone in between, someone who can throw out damage, someone who has the ability to end up as a bronze or silver in damage done in the game, not someone who's clearly like an offensive hero, not someone who's going to be able to compete with Reaper or be able to compete with Junkrat, but someone who can still throw out a good amount of damage. But I'd also like them to be able to stay in the point. I'd like to see 250 health and 50 armor, or 200 health, 50 armor, or 75 armor. Just someone who has a little more staying power than a Junkrat. I think a hero where somewhere in that happy medium would be a perfect addition to a defensive hero tier. And that's just personal opinion. I think the defensive heroes, especially on console, are extremely looked down upon. A lot of people don't even pick them or look at them. There's a tons of games where it's just offensive, then healer, and then tanks. The defensive heroes are rarely chosen, and I think that's a shame. Let me know what you think about my opinions and some of these thoughts. If you guys have your own suggestions, please let me know in the comments section below. As always, stay achieving, and we'll see you at the next video.